Hey guys, welcome to the Family First Life SkyPoint Get to 20K call. My name is Stephen Yee. I'll be your host today. This week we have a great friend of mine, 80K a month producer, and Colton Duhr. Are you there with us, bro?
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Dude, what's up, man? How are you?
Doing great, doing great.
So Colton's been a very instrumental part in our business. He's our number one producer, and he's a top 10 agent inside of Family First Life right now in terms of personal production. So, Colton, let's dive into it, man. How did you get started here? How did you find us at Family First Life?
Yeah, so honestly, Indeed, just searching around looking for a 1099 job. I found applied on Indeed and then kind of haven't looked back since. So it's kind of weird how I found everything or found Family First Life, but just searching around looking for something better.
What was your background prior to this?
Pest control. So guy going out killing bugs, going business to business, spraying for bugs.
So you had a lot of sales experience, right? uh,
Right.
See, and that's the fascinating thing is like the gentleman that hired Colton placed an ad out, and I think you were the only guy that responded. And see, like people go all the time. They're like, man, should I post an ad up on Craigslist or ZipRecruiter or Career Builder? I'm like, dude, just post something because you don't know who's looking at what time. Like if he would have posted that ad the day after, the day before, it might not have shown up right when you were looking. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
the timing's just perfect as always. So that's why we just keep continuously posting because we don't know who's looking at what time. But let's dive into it, man. So you write a lot of business. When you started out with us, your first month, you wrote 20 grand, second month, 25 grand, third month, 30 grand, walked away from your full-time 6-figure job to join us and scale this thing. What type of schedule were you running when you were part-time with us?
So part time. So I'd start my pest control job like 4 in the morning usually. Um, Try to get home at 3, between 2 and 3 o'clock. I try to be either dialing or running appointments from like 3 to 8. So I try to be as much full time as I could. Because I knew I wanted to replace my income and quit my job as soon as I could.
Right.
So I was just doing everything during those hours, and I was trying to basically, like I said, I was trying to run as much full time as I could. So I was trying to get as close as I could to those 20 appointments a week, part time.
So you were running in the evenings and on the weekends.
Yes.
So your first, I mean, walk us through the mentality and the mindset behind it, right? Like you already have a full-time job that you're working like 40, 50 hours a week. You have a family, a wife and two beautiful kids. And then now you're going to take time away from both of those things too and go, hey, I'm going to try this career thing out. Right. How was that like? Because I mean, I can imagine your time was thin already. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Right. Yeah. Um, Absolutely, it was because, and that was a conversation we had, and that's why I wanted to do it as quickly as I could because I mean, with my pest control job, like I made good money. I was home more, obviously. I made decent money, I should say. I make a lot more money here, but I was comfortable and happy. Um, so yeah, my kids were used to seeing me um, 3, 4, 5 o'clock at night. There all day. There every weekend usually. Um, so that's what I had to give up in order to get where I wanted to be for our family. And that's what drove me is the why to be able to provide for my wife, my kids, everything that they deserve. And I knew I had to do it now. And if I would have waited, done 5K this month, 10K, and be part time for 6, 7, 8, 9 months, and my family still not see me, it's a much, much harder to do that versus just do it 2 or 3 months in a row to really prove the system to get out of the field or to quit your full time job and then just be all in with FFL.
Right. And see, that's the thing is like, I've always told people like in 90 days, dude, your life can change here. Like literally, like you can go from not having money or a savings account to having like 20, 30, 40 grand in there. Right. And all your bills are paid and all it, like it'll mess you up, but it requires you to sacrifice a lot and to be able to work like you've never worked before. Like I loved what Sean was talking about yesterday. He was like, how many hours do you work? The guy was like 70. How many hours do you work? 90. How many hours do you work? 80. It's like, dude, like 30, 40 hours a week here ain't going to cut it. Like that's a normal job. But if you're building something for you and your family, you should definitely work way more for that than you should for somebody else. Right. So let's dive into the nitty gritty part now. So your first week, your first few weeks or first few months with us, everybody thinks you were like on mortgage and slaying all that stuff. What leads were you running? Because you didn't have the Oklahoma leads at the time.
No. So literally we didn't even have instance then. So it was just Facebook leads. There was Facebook leads. I mean, we still had some of like the older internet stuff, but I mainly just bought Facebook leads. So it was Facebook leads, making sure I had enough every Monday and every Thursday for each dial day, week after week, and not having a lead problem in terms of not having enough leads to dial. So I just made sure I just multiple different vendors. I just made sure I was just running your normal Facebook final expense.
Right. So you get into that, and then you ran some old mortgage, right? Because an agent basically let go of their stuff, and they were like, "Here, take it, take all my old stuff." There's a reason why I'm asking this, by the way. You ran the old mortgage. How was that like?
I mean, I liked it. I mean, it was definitely a little bit different, but not that much different, honestly. So I had the opportunity to start running that, starting to learn that type of an appointment, and enjoy the heck out of it. I mean, even that they were old, I mean, they were still weren't helped. They were still looking for insurance, mortgage protection, obviously. But yeah, I mean, other than that, because after that, then the mortgage kind of got taken away, which was funny. But
so the reason why I bring that up, Colton, is because, dude, like FFL just dropped like 75,000 aged mortgage leads in the CRM for $2.50 a pop. Right. And a lot of people go, "Oh my gosh, like that's so many, but they're old." And I'm like, dude, old is gold for me. Because number one, if you're a brand new agent, they're cheap, so you can get a lot of them. Number two, they're great because if you bought if it's $2.50 per lead, you can buy 400 leads to get, for $1,000. Dude, you can tell me you can get into one home and break even, two to get profitable, three to stay ahead. Right. And especially in mortgage, you get higher premiums is what everybody says, and you get a husband and a wife. So like in a home, you might get two policies instead of one. And the reason why I'm saying this is because like, dude, like any agency or agent that has adopted the new stuff that FFL has put in place, like the instance, the Facebook leads and all that, they've grown tremendously. So like for me recently, when it came out, I was like, whoa, like I didn't see 6,000 leads in my backyard. My backyard was one of the areas that didn't have any leads. So I picked up like 400 leads for one of my agents that I was working with. He's brand new guy. I coached him in basketball for 4 years. And I was like, "Hey dude, we're going to try these out. Right. I'm going to buy you a lot of them. Get on the phone to get to work." Dude, ask me how many you booked yesterday. First out day.
How many?
17. And I was like, dude, are you kidding me? Like first dial day, you set 17 appointments. Like there's no way he's not going to break even on that batch.
Absolutely.
And be able to write 3, 4, 5 grand and get ahead. Matter of fact, I'm like, dude, I almost want him to buy that for like the next 2 months.
Right. That's what makes
You know?
you super profitable.
Right. It's profitable. The numbers are in your favor. It's a lot of practice, right? So like that's the reason why I'm saying that is like everybody goes, oh, they're old, they're old, they're old. Dude, like Arthur Forrest is on the call right here, and I can see it. Dude, Art's first week in the business, he wrote 7 grand off of 2-year-old leads that Trey gave him. Because Trey he went to the office and Trey was like, here's a stack of leads, call them. And he didn't know new from old. So he was like, screw it. Dude, that's what happens. Like when we don't get so, we don't overthink this and go, oh, well, has the leads been already called? And how many agents did you give this to? And were they FFL agents? And why didn't you sell them? And it's like, dude, just call.
Mhm.
Right. Cause like I gave my old leads, quote unquote, my old leads to David Chen. I thought I was decent in the field. I wrote, a decent amount last year. You wrote 43 grand in 2 months on my old leads. Apparently I was that good, left almost 50 grand on the table for him. But I say that because it's like, that's what we have with this opportunity with the new lead type that we have in our CRM. So your in-home presentation, you know what, before we dive into in-home, let's talk about your phone script. Cause you dialed and matter of fact, I should lead an interview at this point, but
Right.
you both dialed together as a couple, which is awesome. Talk about phone script because a lot of people despise the phone or whatever it is, but you guys, like we talked about yesterday, is like y'all love the phone because the phone is where everything happens, right?
Mhm.
So talk a new agent through that. Like, what should they be doing or what do they think about when they're going through the phone, especially when they're brand new?
Um, yeah, and that's what was great about the training yesterday too. I can't remember who went over the phone, handling every single phone objection, but it all comes down to um, honestly mindset when you're getting ready to dial. Like you tell yourself the phones are gonna suck, then yeah, they're gonna suck. But if you go in there, positive attitude, I'm gonna go book 15, 20 appointments. I'm not gonna stop until I do. Because I have Jake Stoneberger. That's what he did his first dial day. He's like, I'm not leaving. I'm like, then I come back and he's booked up 10Ks first week here. And when you have that positive attitude going into it, makes it for a lot more successful day. But it's just knowing ahead of time what you're going into. Yes, I've got instance or Facebook leads, they're exclusive to me. Yes, that leads exclusive to you, but knowing that the people we deal with, they're going to be filling out multiple forms. If they click on an ad from Facebook, everyone knows how Facebook is. You click on one thing, you're going to get 20 million different ads as you continue to scroll. So yeah, that vendor you got is probably exclusive to you, but they're probably filling multiple forms out. So it's getting them to them first, and even if they saying they filled it out or got it taken care of, it's knowing how to rebuttal that. And that's what I tell every new agent coming on now. It's like, I mean, if you're with the CRM leads, people out there selling 30, 40K a month, but if you cannot overcome not interested or already got it taken care of, you're not going to be successful here.
So how do you overcome those 2 objections?
So pretty simple. So already got it taken care of. Perfect. I'll make a note here real quick. So did you get that taken care of over the phone or in person? Then because a lot of times we know people are doing this over the phone, and if they are, we can literally put them in a better situation. We just need to get in the door. So they say, got it taken care of over the phone. Awesome. Okay, perfect. So yeah, so we're helping a lot of families right now that got it over the phone with these other different companies. I'm actually just the local field underwriter here. With our company, we are required to lay eyes on you just to verify you are who you actually say you are, and then that you're not strapped to a hospital bed full time. And since we are required to do that, we're actually able to offer a lot cheaper rates than the companies that do it over the phone because we work with 20 different carriers. And then just straight to book an appointment, not pausing, not doing anything, not letting them come up with another objection. It's just straight back into it. So like I said, it takes 10, 15 minutes, and they got me in the area the next couple of days. Around what time works best, mornings, afternoons, or evenings, and just booking it.
Right. I love that. What about one of the ones that they say they're not interested?
So not interested is perfect. So you're just not interested because you don't think you can afford it, or you don't think you can qualify, and then have them tell me why they're not interested, and it doesn't really matter what they say. And I'll go through both real quick, but not interested because they don't think they can qualify. Gotcha. Okay. Well, I'm just the field underwriter. We're actually just brokers, so we just work with 20 different carriers. So we can almost get anyone we sit with coverage. We can get anyone under 50 in healthy coverage, anyone with 80 in cancer. There's usually an option for everybody. So like I said, I'm just a local field underwriter. They got me out in the area. It takes about 10, 15 minutes to go over everything with you around what time works best, mornings, afternoons, or evenings.
Love it.
And then don't think they can afford it. Essentially the same thing. Perfect. I'm just the field underwriter. We actually work with 20 different carriers. So we just shop everyone to get you the coverage you need, and go with the cheapest company usually. So it's all state regulated. It's meant to be affordable for everybody, because everyone deserves to get coverage in place to protect their family. So they got me out in the area next couple of days, blah 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 blah. Which is really good. And the other thing I'd probably say in the phone scripts too, it was really good. Jake Stoneberg, he's been here maybe 2 weeks, I think, less than that.
Maybe.
And I heard him on the phones. It's like, I've never heard it before, but it's when they say when they say to him, already got it taken care of, he's like, okay, perfect. I'm seeing like 5 families tomorrow that they already got it taken care of too. I'm just reviewing their policy. It takes about 5 minutes. If I can put you in a better situation, great. If not, I'm on to my next appointment. I'm like, that's really good.
Yeah. Dude, that's the beauty of this, is there's so many ways to do the same thing. You know what I mean? And you just got to find the way that works best for you. Like when Brandon says, perfect, man, I'm just, oh, you already got it taken care of? Cool. I need to swing by to cross you off the list so you stop getting phone calls. And I'm like, that's pretty smart too. And it's like, do whatever works for you, do that. Right.
Exactly.
Do that and keep doing that. Don't be the guy that keeps playing in different types of, like overly training can be bad for you. Right. Like I was just talking to one of our agents. He wrote, 40, 50 grand last month. But like the month before, he was fighting himself because he wrote a lot of business, but he was watching this video and that video. And I'm like, dude, like what you got works. Just keep it that way. Stop trying to piece off something from this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy. I'm like, because it doesn't work for you. It works for them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like, that's their flavor. That's not yours. So like, keep it within you and your style and dominate it that way. So dude, he did that. And it was very hard for him because he was like, he's a training watcher, if you know what I mean. Like he watched everything. Like he watched my training that I did with Zach and like Alondra's group. He ain't even in that team. He watched it like 4 days later and was like, yo, that was so funny when you said this, this, and this. And I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, the training you did with the Relentless team. And I'm like, oh, you jumped on that? He's like, nah, man, I watched it on replay. Like, why? And he was like, I don't know. I was bored out of my mind. Just figure I'd watch something. And I'm just like, but like, that's scary because sometimes you overtrain. Like you know what you're doing is right. Now you start to question yourself because somebody else that's probably a little bit better than you or writes more premium than you start implementing their stuff. And it's like, no, dude, like just stick to what you do. Just run more appointments, So speaking of which, let's talk about your in-home, because your in-home is solid. It's airtight. Best part about Colton, you want to know the funniest part? I don't think you're offended by this, but hopefully not, at least.
No.
So in Vegas, we had you do your in-home presentation in front of everybody. We gave you 30 minutes. You did your in-home presentation. Brandon and Teresa were your quote unquote clients, right? And you did your in-home presentation. I got like 40 text messages, dude. Are you serious? That's all he does. There's no way. I'm serious. And I was like, no. 100%. That's exactly what he does. The reason why he has better results than you is because he runs 30 appointments and you only run 15. That's why.
Exactly.
They're like, but he's so like vanilla. I'm like, yeah, which means it's predictable and it works every time. He's not emotional. So he's not going to sell one client like this and another client. He's level headed the whole time. That's Colton's best asset. And they're like, I should probably do that. I'm like, I think you should. You know what I mean? So let's dive into your in-home for those that weren't there. How do you set the table? What do you do when you get in? All that good stuff, man. Like, share with us how you do that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what was so great. I mean, touch on the Vegas thing real quick, but and that's how it is. Like, cause I didn't even talk to the audience like once, and I come off the stage and Leah's like you came on, like you said 2 words and you didn't even say anything when you left. It's like, I know I'm awkward. but anyway, but yeah, I mean, I just like anyone should. I watched the trainings in the very beginning on in-home. I took a few things from people that I could think I have the same personality as, and I made it my own. And yeah, after my first 100 appointments, I really locked down what works for me. So if I hear little things that people are tweaking that might help me, great. But like you just said, don't mess something up that's working. You don't have to be super salesy, or someone says something super slick, you're like, oh, maybe I should try that. But like, what's working for me, what I'm doing now is working for me, so I'm not going to change it. But yeah, it's everything in the in-home is in the very beginning is about getting the objections out of the way up front. So it is literally sitting down, figuring out why you're there to see if you're gonna stay there. And it's handing them the lead card, or if it's an internet lead, it's just so Steve, obviously this is what you filled out. I assume you just want to make sure that or let's do a final expense. I can just do that real quick. But so this is the form that you filled out. Did you fill this out because you got no burial insurance? You need more, or what's going on? And I'm trying to figure out why I'm there.
Right.
And at that point, after that, it doesn't really matter what they say. And I'm like, okay, gotcha. Whether it be leaving a legacy or want to protect their daughter, and that's where I bring the beneficiary out. So who's going to be here to pick up the pieces when you pass? And then I will usually try and ask just at least one additional question on that beneficiary, because I don't do a bunch of rapport building, but I want to see why they're protecting and figure out who this person is, how their relationship is. Like, awesome, your daughter, is she local? Do you have a good relationship with her? And I assume you just want to make sure that she's not coming out of pocket for anything, right? And I was like, of course not. Like, awesome. Okay. I see why you fill this out here then. I always like to ask because everybody's situation is different, but I see that you just really want to put something in place to protect your daughter, right? Of course. And then basically I get right into how the appointment's going to go. So I still only have the lead card out because I don't know if I'm still going to be there yet. And it's just letting them know what's going to happen and just taking control and having control of the appointment. I'll pull out my license. So before I do anything, I just want to verify with you who I am. Throw my license on the table, like, this is me. That's my license number right there. You're more than welcome to take a picture of it. I actually recommend it. You just want to make sure you're dealing with someone that's licensed, but also just make sure you don't have some random weirdo in your house. And then I'll leave that out there. Then I have the credibility sheet, pull that out. And I just say, kind of like I said, my job, it's real simple. I'm just the field underwriter. It's just literally my job to get you accepted. So point to all the carriers. We're going to shop all the carriers to get you the coverage you need and go with the cheapest company. Like I said, it's real simple. Anyone could really do my job, to be honest with you. But because all these carriers, all they look at is your prescription history and your medical history to approve you or not. There's no physical exam whatsoever. That's what make all these options created. That's why I'll be able to tell you today if you can be approved or not. But so that being said, I'm obviously going to go over some health questions with you. I'm going to go over a few financial questions as well, just to make sure whatever you put in place, you're comfortable with it. But more important than that, it's affordable, because it's meant to be here when you need it most. Might be tomorrow, might be 10, 15, 20 years from now. We don't know. We just want to make sure whatever you're putting in place, that it's here when you need it. And that's why we want to make sure that it's affordable now, but 10 years from now as well. They'll kind of appreciate that you're not trying to sell them a high premium or something like that. Right. And then after that, I'm just explaining. So after those quick questions, I'll give you some different options with the coverage amounts, prices, all that good stuff. Whatever you decide to go with, that's what we'll actually send off to the insurance carrier for a final decision to see if you can be accepted or not. And like I said, I'll be able to tell you today if you can get approved or not, because everything's done on our tablets, make it real easy. But yeah, that application we're sending in today is just your information: name, address, date of birth, beneficiaries, social security number for your medical records, because that's what they're obviously looking at to approve you or not. And then lastly is your bank information, like your routing and account number that you want to attach to it if you are accepted. So all that makes sense.
Yep.
And then right there, they just said yes to everything. If I'm getting an objection, I'm getting it right there on the two biggest objections, the social and the banking information. And if I can't get past it after that, then there's no point for me to stay there. Show the guy that all he wants is quotes, more quotes, that he's gotten 20 million quotes already. And I can be on my way to my next appointment. But after they say yes, then it's just perfect. All I need to start is just your guys' driver's licenses then. So they grab their driver's license, I pull up the financial inventory, and I actually start the appointment.
Dude, so like, let's say you're talking about the social security number, right? You said that's probably one of the objections that you receive. How do you overcome that if they go, why do you need my social?
Yeah. That's how they're looking at to verify you are who you say you are, and to see if they can accept you or not. Because like I said in the beginning, remember, there's no physical exam whatsoever. So they're going to be looking at your prescription and your medical history. That's what they all require. And then don't really pause. It's just like the phone. So if you want to continue, I just need your driver's license.
Right. And what about the banking info?
Banking info, kind of similar. I mean, that's just how all these insurance carriers work nowadays. They're all top A-rated carriers, all been in business over 100 years, very ethical companies. We wouldn't work with any companies that weren't that way. Right. So that's what all the carriers are going to require, is your routing and account number. And I try to, that's one objection that they harp on it again. And it's just, it's honestly, I mean, it's a lot safer than writing a check, putting a check in the mail, because your routing and account number are right there. This is kept secure, and I can't even see it after I input it, to be honest with you. And saying that it's here to protect you, because say you're in the ICU, say 3 months in a row, and you're expected to make a check, you're in the ICU, you obviously can't make the payment. If you miss a payment, your policy is going to lapse. If you end up passing, that policy is not going to pay out. Right. So this actually protects you, that if anything does happen to you, it's gonna pay out no matter what.
See, that's the craziest part, right? Like, I've never really had that objection of like, hey, I'm not going to give you my banking info, right? And for some reason, though, I hear that people do, which is interesting. So like, I was talking to some of these other top producers, and I was like, hey, how do you overcome this? Like, when you get it, dude, one guy flat out told me, he said, dude, I just pull out my checkbook and give him a check. Like, I'm like, here's my account number, writing number right now. I'm like, no, you don't do that. He goes, yeah, I do, because I'm basically asking them for the same thing, right? And I was like, yeah. He goes, so what happens is when I usually pull out my, like, hey, here's my account number, routing number, they go, this guy's crazy enough to give him mine. Like, I think we're safe to give him ours. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I've never thought of that. Like, that's actually pretty interesting. So, and you know, for like we all know that identity theft is real and your information is already out there. They just haven't used it yet. Right. Like,
right.
That. So, It's like it's the social thing. Like the same guy, he was like, I was like, what do you do when you don't get a social? He's like, I give him mine. I'm like, really? He was like, yeah, because number one, they're not gonna write it down fast enough. Or two, even if they did, it's like you swear like it's not on all these other databases that have been hacked already, like Target or whatever, So that's cool, man. Okay, cool. So like when you close, so like after you set the table, you ask all the questions, the underwriting, and you're ready to show options or whatever it may be. Do you go one option, two options, three options, top down? How do you do it?
Yeah, it's always three options, 100%. And yeah, I mean, it's real simple. Because in the appointment, I'm obviously getting their income, what they got left over at the end of the month, and that's going to kind of dictate what I am showing.
Right.
But I am starting to like where, so say it's a final expense appointment or something like that. I'll show the third option, like the max, say 30 grand, and then two smaller options. So it could be like a 30 grand, 15, 20, or a 10. I explain those options first before I show them anything, and then I'll flip the paper around. I'll show them, and I'll re-explain each option to them again, and it's real simple, easy. So out of these three options, if you were approved, which one do you prefer? And make them pick one.
Right. That easy.
Yep.
That's how an $80,000 a month producer looks. The crazy part is I thought you could have done 100. I honestly think you could have. I might give you July as a chance to try to hit it, but we'll see.
Right.
I'm going to tell Andrew, hey, Andrew, you in? I'm down to put some money in that. But it's so simple. What I'm trying to say is like everybody tries to make this so hard. Like I remember when I was brand new, dude, I tell the story all the time. Like I went 0 for 14 to start. And like every time I called Andrew, Trey, Joe, I was like, dude, I'm not closing. They're like, you're not pushing hard enough. I'm like, what the hell does that even mean? Right. And I just gotten so like, I was like, I don't know how to quote unquote push harder. Right. Like it was just not who I was. And so like, I was like, dude, I'm just going to make this so simple. I'm just going to ask them which one they want. And then
right.
ask them throughout the process, if it makes sense. And then at the end, ask them which one they want. And so it's kind of like you, trial closing, right? Hey, if something were to happen to you, who's this policy going to go to? Right. I'm like, eventually, like some people, I haven't. And if you want to try it, sure. But some people go, hey, who's getting screwed when you die? I'm like, wow, that's a very interesting way to word it, But then you start trial closing people. Hey, does this make sense? We're here to make sure this, like the payment we wanted to be, so affordable that you can't just afford it today, but you want to be able to afford it later on. Like we're talking about everything, right? And then you get to the very end and you're like, hey, out of the three options I showed you, which one do you like best? That was the magic close. It wasn't some like pixie fairy dust like trick that I was going to use on them to like scam them into buying insurance. Right. And it's like, I'm not going to tell them that they're going to get a death benefit, but not tell them the amount. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, no, you're going to get this when you pass away. It's going to cover this amount, whatever it is. So, cool, dude. Hey, if any of you guys on here have any questions, feel free to shoot them in the chat box or the Q&A. We'll start Q&A in a few, but, Colton, like you're hiring a big team too. And you're obviously getting some new guys that are riding at a high clip, just like yourself. Let's say you hire some of the agents on the call right now and they come to you and they go, hey, I need to write 20 grand, 30 grand, 40 grand. What is your advice for them to be able to get to that level?
First off, it's going to come down to having the right expectations of the amount of leads you're getting. Because you're not going to go out there and write 20 grand with spending $1,000 on your first lead purchase and think that's gonna get you to 20 grand, and that's all you're going to use the rest of the month.
Right.
So it's upfront knowing that every top producer anyone out there writing is not spending less than $1,000 a week on leads. So if you want to go write 20 grand for the month, at least anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 a week in leads. And if you do that right, yeah, you're only purchasing leads once. Right. Because everything after that is profit, because you just need one policy to usually break even, And everything after that is profit, and you're reinvesting. Your clients are now paying for your leads, if you
Right.
want to look at it that way. And it's just going to continue to snowball. And it's just having that mindset of like not quitting on yourself on your dial days, not quitting when you don't have enough appointments. If you're dialing all day Monday, and you only have, say, 5-7 appointments, it's not just going to those and then restarting on Thursday.
Right.
It is dialing in between, and that's why I'm having everybody dial on Monday for Tuesday, Wednesday, but then leaving that window the next 2 days, 9 to 11, to supplement dial. Because
Right.
it's rare we have the guy like you just your guy you just talking about, his first dial day, he's booked 17 appointments. Not everyone can do that.
Right.
And it's knowing that and scheduling that in advance, is just booking from 11 to 8 the Tuesday, Wednesday, and then supplement dialing from that 9 to 11. If you get all the way booked up and it's only 3 o'clock, both Tuesday, Wednesday from 11 to 8, then it's starting to plug those other appointments in the mornings. And I think that's been really beneficial for a lot of people coming on board. But it's just honestly just being 100% all in in everything, not being emotional, being 100% all in with your mindset, not being mentally weak with self-doubt, anything like that, because that will deter you from, because a lot of people, they're not successful because of their own self-doubt, and you need to have that confidence that to book those appointments, that these people ask for your help. It is your job to help them. And when you're not dialing enough, like it's all because of you. So taking control of, if you're not successful, it's because of you. So go be successful, because that's also because of you.
Right.
And that's kind of the conversation I would kind of have.
Can you so that's money, man. One of the things, and this is a nugget for those of you that are brand new, that Zach Stradowski taught me. He said when he ran travel trips, he would always make his first appointment at like 9:30 or even 10, not ever at like 8 or 9. And I was like, what the heck? That's weird. He's like, no, this is the reason why. He was like, because every morning I would get up and dial from 7:30 to 9 and fill out the gaps that I didn't have the day after. And I was like, really? He was like, and in that slot, he was like, it was my money slot, dude. He was like, I would always be able to set more appointments from 7:30 to 9 a.m. than I did probably the rest of the day. And I was like, huh. So dude, Zach Stradowski has the #1 issue paper writer in the entire company. It's like 13, 14 grand per writer. It's not a bad thing. And I'm like, yeah, I'll learn, because like he has like brand new guys that come in and write more than our entire group. It's fascinating. You know what I mean? So like, I'm like, cool. Like, let's implement that. And like, kind of like what you were telling me, like Jake's first week, right? Like where he came in, he didn't have enough dials. So like in the mornings, he would meet you at the office, book a few more appointments for the following day, book a few more appointments and that's how you stack yourself up to be able to have the 10K week. You know, I always tell brand new agents, like, you know, the Monday dial for Tuesday, Wednesday run days, the Thursday dials for Friday, Saturday, Sundays, or Friday, Saturday run days. That's reserved for a top producer. If you're brand new and you have no money and it's Tuesday and you have no appointments, you're on the phone. You're on the phone all day long until you have to run appointments, because you can't show off your in-home presentation without being able to book the appointment to get into the home. So like if it's also Wednesday and you don't have any appointments, you're on the phone. Like brand new agents should be on the phone almost every day until they have the discipline and the amount of leads and the structure to be able to dial it back to the dial one day for the next 2 days thing. And like until then, dude, you got to be on the phone all day long. You know, I remember Bruce, when he was brand new, he ran like 30 days straight. And I was like, dude, you can get blown out. He's like, I don't care. I'm like, all right, dude. But but that's why he wrote 30 grand, because he had like 3 appointments today, 4 appointments the following day, 2 appointments today, 6 the fall. But he eventually ended up running like 25, 30 a week. Right. But now we're trying to be smart about it and be like, hey, let's do it in 4 days so you don't burn out. But it was like you said yesterday, it was like the most money he's ever made in a month. So I'm like, as a brand new agent, you're just trying to mess this thing up really, really fast so that you're allowed to basically have, dial it back and then go, perfect. I'm going to get real good at running in these day slots. So, hey, anybody have any questions? Feel free to shoot them in the group chat. If not, I'm going to keep going with Colton. Yeah, man. So Colton, what else you got for us, dude?
I mean, I think kind of touched on everything that I wanted to say. I will say this, because a lot of times, like a bunch of people I've hired, something that I've personally changed from when I first started is like, I was always the guy, no, you should start part-time. No, start part-time. Like,
Right.
I did it. It worked for me. Everyone will be able to do that. And I've really changed that when talking to people, because sometimes you forget how hard that was, and trying to see other people do it, and they didn't have the same schedule that I was able to have starting out, because it's extremely true. Part-time is way harder than full-time here. It really is. Especially because when you're brand new, you're terrible on the phones. Like, you're at your worst in every aspect of the business. And trying to book appointments on a part-time dial schedule and trying to get as many appointments as you can be very discouraging if you're going through a learning curve, everything like that.
Colton,
So
the thing though is your part-time was other people's full-time, dude.
mm-hmm.
Like that's what I was trying to get to earlier is like the fact that you ran in the evenings and on the weekends. That's more than some people that rely on FFL as a sole income. That's more than what they do.
Right.
Like that's why I'm saying it's like you're 100% correct. The part-time thing is harder than the full-time thing, but it also depends on work ethic, which let's be real, a lot of people don't work as hard as they think they do. And they go, hey, I work a 40-hour a week job. I'm like, dude, so did Colton. He worked like a 60-hour a week job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got family. He did too. And it's like, but he still was able to find time to do this while you're like, hey, it's Sunday. I haven't seen my family in 6 days. Let me get a family day. And I'm like, okay, you're racing against time.
Mm-hmm.
And see, I was talking to this new agent yesterday, right, Colton? He's like, dude, I write 20 grand a month and I'm pathetic. What? It's like, okay, cool. So I was like, so how many appointments are you running? He said, I'm running 20 appointments a week. So I was like, simple, 4 weeks in a month, you're running 20 appointments a week, 80 appointments a month. Right. And I was like, dude, I just want you to change one thing. He was like, what? I was like, I want you to run 30 a week. He was like, okay. I'm like, because you ran 30 a week, it's 30, 30, 30, 30. That's 120 appointments. You get 2 extra weeks in a 4-week span. So you're going to get an extra half the premium, dude. So I'm like, instead of writing 20K, you're going to actually end up writing like 35, 40K. Matter of fact, you'll probably write more because the numbers are just in your favor.
Mm-hmm.
He was like literally the light bulb, like, how you see someone like the light bulb clicks for them. I'm like, yeah, it's really that easy. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, just run 30. You have more shots at the rim.
That's
And
what I think I did on my very first month. I hit 50. I thought it was insane. I think it was a 5-week month if I remember right. And then I think you kind of did the same thing. It's like you had an extra week of appointments. So this next month it's going to be a 4-week month. So just run the same amount of appointments. It's only adding a few more appointments a week, and it adds up.
3 a week. Yeah, literally. And that's the crazy part. It's like everybody goes, it's a 4-week month. I'm like, no, dude, you still ran like 4-week month, 5-week month. Dude, no. For the month, you ran 120 appointments. That's all you did.
Mm-hmm.
So like you got to do that spread out through 5 weeks or 4 weeks. I don't care. Just do the 120 appointments. And see, that's where, like, for example, we're getting out of this conference and Trudowski taught me something well. He was like, so let's say I have a big event or like a family, like someone's getting married or, you got a big training or whatever it is. And this week I can only run 22 appointments. He goes, that means the following week, the next 2 weeks, I'm going to run 33, 34 appointments. because I got to make up the 8 appointments somewhere. I'm not going to be
Mhm.
like, hey, I'm self-employed. I'm an independent contractor, so therefore I can take time off. Yeah, you can, but you're the one that gets hurt. And then your production doesn't go up where it needs to be. And then you go, oh my gosh, this business sucks. No, dude, you just don't work hard enough.
Mhm.
Right? Instead, what they're doing is they're reallocating the appointments. They're like, at the end of the month, I just need to run 120 appointments. And I'm like, dude, simple concept,
Right. Exactly.
simple concept. So cool, man. Hey, it doesn't look like we do have a question. This is from Benny. For brand new agents starting, what type of weekly investment in leads would you recommend? Great question.
Yeah. So definitely, kind of like I was saying earlier, we kind of have that conversation, like what is it realistically in the budget and what are your goals? And based on that, that's what I'll usually recommend. But I usually don't recommend under $1,000 a week in leads, just because you want the numbers in your favor. So $1,000 a week in leads, and then gradually getting up to that 15 to 2,000.
What kind of lead flows should they buy, or what types of leads should they buy?
I mean, if you got enough instance and new internet leads in your area, I always recommend those for sure. But in the very beginning, it's just getting a flow of all of them, right. All the different types of CRM leads. Obviously, starting with the instance and the new internet ones, and then supplementing any 1 and 3 month old if you need to, and then supplementing with Facebook leads too, because that's what I'm finding out. Everybody has their favorite lead type, and everybody is different. It is crazy. Everyone is different. Some people like the instance, some people like the Facebook leads, some people like the 3 month old, some people hate the instance and love the Facebook. It's like, and that's when it comes back to the mentality thing again. It's like, whatever you believe is the best lead, you're going to go buy those, and you're going to dial those way harder than the leads that you think suck.
Yep.
Just change your mindset and they all freaking work.
Right. See, that's the craziest part, right? Like Will and his brother live in the same city, bought the same lead vendor at the same time, bought the same amount of leads. Will, who's a Hall of Fame producer, wrote $0 on those leads, and his brother wrote $9,000 off of them. It's fascinating. Same lead vendor. And Will's like, I will never buy those leads ever again. His brother's like, that's the only lead I'll ever buy. That's my point. It's like, can you imagine screaming at the top of the lungs, like, don't, like you're telling your agents on your team, don't buy those leads. Well, what if that was the lead that worked for them, based on demographic or wherever it was? You know what I mean? So that was a great question. The other thing I want to piggyback on that too, dude, in the beginning, you're just trying to learn. So like many of you spend $1,000 and you, let's say you bought like I said, 400, age mortgage leads, or you take, some age leads, some age mortgage, and then some other, you just blend everything together. And let's just say you sold 2 policies and it broke you even, or it made you a little bit of money. Dude, you didn't lose anything, right? Like, this is what I want people to understand is like, you're brand new. You're the biggest thing you're trying to learn is your learning curve. Like in the first month of anything you do, you're probably going to suck at that more than you will any other time. So like if you spend, let's just say that month you spent 5,000 in leads and you deposited $7,000 from the carriers. I understand you're only profitable by $2,000, but it's like, that was at your worst peak, right? Like in month 2, you'll probably make more. And in month 3, you'll probably make more. Because why? You got to account for you getting better. You understand how to be better on the phone. You understand how to be better in the home. You understand the objections that you're already seeing. If you run 100 appointments, you probably see every objection you can possibly have in the home. That's why we tell people to go through it, right? Preferably in a month. The other thing we tell people too is you learn how to underwrite. You learn which carriers take which products. So you naturally become faster in the home. You also learn how to not bounce your appointments around. You don't go from one area to the next that's an hour away, and then a 2-hour drive this way, and then another 3-hour drive back. You go, no, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my round properly so you save time. All those things have to take into effect in the first month or 2. So in the first month or 2, if you're just making money to break even or make a little bit, it's okay. As long as you're not losing money, it's okay. Like any traditional business owner doesn't get profitable for like 2 to 3 years. Why do we expect to make $1 million as of yesterday? So I just want you to remember that, Benny. I know you're a stud. I know you're coming on with us. I'm happy to work with you. Christine has a question. If we are just starting off with being licensed in one state, how many appointments must we set, and how much money will we invest to be open to other states? Cole, that's a great question for you. You run out of state more than you run in your home.
Right. Yeah. Honestly, there's people, and you see them like they're brand new, and their first run day is a travel trip. Their first run week is a travel trip. So don't let, because if you don't have leads, say you don't have leads where you're at now, then you're absolutely going somewhere else to run business. So don't let a number figure, an amount of appointments to run locally hinder you from going to make that travel trip. Obviously, when you're first starting out, if you have the leads in your backyard, you're going to run in the backyard. So do that. But if you don't have the leads, then you're getting your non-resident license and wherever the leads are, and you're running.
Yeah. So like one of the agents, Christina, on our team, there's actually a few of them. I'm gonna talk about Rob Kakish. Rob writes more business outside of California than he does inside of California. Like he gets on a plane to run business out of state, just so you know. Right. So like what is he looking for? He's looking for the amount of leads he can get in that state. So like if like let's say Rob lives in California and there's only like 35 incidents in New Mexico, Rob ain't going to New Mexico. It ain't worth it for him. Right. But if he's going to, let's say, Texas, and there's like 300 leads in Texas, he can get a non-resident license, which would cost him like less than $100. He can get a plane ticket, and then he'll buy those leads and go run business there. So it's based on lead availability and how quick you can get there, Christine. That's my answer. Colton from Yadira, she said, what do you say when people want to think about it?
In the home, I'm assuming that's what she's talking about.
Mm-hmm. I'm assuming too.
So in the home, because that's why we show 3 options. The first, if they want to think about it, the first thing I'll go to, after I ask which one they like best, I got to think about perfect. I just tell everybody that wants to think about it, let's just go with the cheapest option now, because we can always increase it later. Because you obviously want it. You're just not sure which option you want. So you got 30 days to think about it anyway. So let's start with the first option and see if we can get you approved. And then you shut up.
Nice.
And then hopefully that works.
I love it. Hey, I had a question for you, Colton. Do you talk like in this tone the whole time, like even with your clients?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Right. When I was running appointments and I was on the phone, I did too. And like I had a guy run business with me, Jacob Mefford, and he was like, dude, you know why I think you're really good? And I was like, why? He goes, dude, you sound like a disgruntled state employee. You sound like you hate your job. You have to come out. It's my job to see you. It's my job to run these options for you. It's my job to field underwrite and see what you qualify for. And I'm like, that's a good observation, because like I'm doing my thing and I don't know, but he's watching this from the client's perspective, and he's like, dude, you sound like a state employee, like one that hates his job, which is why you're pretty good at this, because you're like, I just have to do it because they need me to. It's not like I'm not like this bubbly person. So like for those of you that are struggling, maybe because you're too high and you're too low, just get really good at being monotone. So, Colin, anything as we wrap up, dude?
No, I think we touched on a lot of really good stuff. Hopefully that this is beneficial for whoever watches it. But no matter what team you're on, I'm absolutely want to help everyone be successful. So anyone can reach out to me on Facebook if they have any other additional questions. I'm not that great, but if anyone does want any additional help, I would be more than happy to do that. But yeah, I mean, I think that's it, Steven. I appreciate you for definitely having me on.
You gotta love how humble someone like this is, man. You write 80 grand a month and say you're not good. Dude, that's what some people make in a year, maybe 2 years or 3. But I'm just saying. But hey, thank you, Colin, for jumping on and sharing your thoughts with us, man. Um if anybody, like Colin said, if there's anybody here that needs anything, feel free to reach out. We might not be on the same team, but I always tell everybody this: we're on Team FFL, we're on Sean Mike's team, we're on one team. So thank you guys for jumping on. Hey, let's go close out the week strong, and let's make June a great month for us to remember. So we'll talk soon. Have a great one, guys.